Good afternoon, students. Now that you all know that UGC NET examination preparation is, around the corner, and you people are thinking कि हम mass communication UGC NET crack कर लें, तो definitely I am here at Swami Vivekanand Institute to help you, to groom you, so that आपका UGC NET अच्छे से हो और आप इस बार 2024 में definitely, examination, you're able to pass out. So what you have to do is that you have to understand the concepts. Previously also I was telling you that is important, and to understand the concepts you have to do go deeply into what topics are there. Means topics are available to you in the syllabus, but what you are doing, you are not preparing according to topic. Maybe you are thinking let us do PYQs, and but you should before doing PYQs you should also know what topics are important, so that your concept is clear, and once your concept is clear you know that how to go about that particular topic. So previously I have clarified you about mass communication theories, models, what is the concept of journalism. Now today let's come to history about print media, electronic media, because print media had certain kind of things which were related to newspaper, and electronic media had certain kind of things which were related to radio, TV, and then digital media. So you have to understand what gradually happened, because of which today we identify that there are changes, and these changes are bringing our mass communication much brighter and much better for the audience. Now to understand, I have just given you the basic topic of history, and then growth. Means gradually these newspapers started growing, and now they are at the highest circulation, I have already told you. So you have to know that print media is a form of mass media, and that the name suggests that the news or information is shared through the print publication. So whatever print publications, means either it's Times of India, either it's in the newspaper Bharat Times, or it is Hindu, they are all coming in form of the publications, and they are circulated. So these copies are released, and this preprint media is available in form of reporting, which is possible. Maybe later we are using that source, and we are creating some live shows, live media, to understand what is being circulated and what is the information. So source here is print media. Similarly, you have to know what is electronic media. When the term electronic media comes to your mind, the major thing related to electronic media is about radio and television. Means whatever is being circulated in radio, audio, and when it becomes audio visual, it is television. Maybe it's cinema also, but we are talking right now about the news. We are talking about the content which is informational, not entertainment. So I'm talking about the growth of electronic media, the television, and the you can see that through electronic media is the means of sharing information, news. In the electronic media, the news or information is uploaded or broadcasted. So यहाँ पर एक term आया था broadcasted, which was not associated with your newspapers. Broadcasting media was associated only with radio and television. So you have to know what all was there, created and transformed, and that reached to the audience in form of broadcasted media. So we had television news through mobile apps, media live shows, live discussions, which were part of the electronic media. So now again, both print and electronic media is giving you the information which is reaching out to the audience, and you can convert it according to your own I mean to say usage, your own credential, how you want to take benefit out of that information. Now era of newspaper, first of all to go ahead, I would like to throw some light upon the era of newspaper. Which were these newspapers? Now, as print technology continued to advance, means there was certain kind of advancement which we can see, and these newspapers, were published, followed by, this you can see, London Gazette. This is 17th century. अभी ये इंडिया की बात नहीं हो रही है. I'll come to the Bengal Gazette, which was Hickey's Gazette. You must have heard about. So London Gazette was in 17th century, and this was in 1665. And this was seen not in India. It was like in 18th century, newspapers proliferated in Europe and in American colonies. So we can see that in the Western countries, in America, and in European countries, the proliferation started in 17th century. And here you can see this one, the Pennsylvania Gazette, which was disseminated, and it became a prominent part of the American Revolution at that time. So we are not concerned about these historical upbringings, because we are more concerned about Indian history. But in a basic context, you should know where did the origin took place. It was not in India. It was in the Western countries. And then gradually, birth of print media. Birth of print media, history of print media in India began in the 16th century, when European missionaries and merchants introduced printing technology. Now, what is printing technology? Means the audience is able to understand, through that technology, the publication is happening, and these publications were not in form of newspapers only, but also in form of magazines, tabloids, whatever, midday newspapers. Or so you could do, lots of technology was printing, and because of that printing technology, we had newspapers, and that happened 17th century onwards. Like I have told you, a few of the gazettes which were available. Now, first printing press in India. Now this is important. You must be thinking कि India में भी तो press आई फिर. Gradually we thought we should also take advantage of printing. And then you can see in India it was the Hickey's Bengal Gazette, as you all know, which was circulated in Calcutta in 1780. So this is a very historical upbringing in India. That was in 1780 in Calcutta, and everybody must be aware of this, that what happened. And after Hickey's Bengal Gazette, there were n number of newspapers started, and we were going through independence at that time. Now we were fighting with the Britishers. So India's first newspaper making the beginning of Indian journalism, you can see now, right? So gradually now we came into that phase which we were thinking would help our journalism. So that is very important. Then industrialization and the mass circulation of the press. Now once you know that newspaper has come, a newspaper is being circulated, so now you can do the mass circulation. As I told you, now it was like gradually there were newspapers which were coming in, printing presses were coming in, mechanical typesetting was coming in, then employment of high speed machines were there. And these machines, what were they giving? They were giving the kind of newspaper industry which we required at that time. And that is how we witnessed the emergence of the circulation press, which was marked by daily publications and lower prices. So now what happened, that one press converted into numerous presses technologies at that time, and they started giving out the newspaper. So there were bundle of newspapers now. So there was early growth. Now came after the Hickey's Gazette, there was a early growth, and struggle of print media started in India, because at that time when we were thinking about the press and technology, it was not something more of commercial purpose, it was more of revolutionary purpose, or it was more for the struggle of independence. So there was a difference. So you need to understand that how technology grows, and India had a tremendous expansion in print media in the 19th century. Okay, and the impact of newspapers such as Hindu, a prominent newspaper, Times of India, could be seen in 1878 and 1838. So some of the newspapers who started doing well were after, we can say that 1800s, like 1838, 18, that is how the newspaper set up. And they were, what they were helping us? They were helping us setting up the public opinion and establishing a spirit of nationalism. That is the idea. आप अगर newspaper circulation इतना ज़्यादा कर रहे हैं, आप what is the idea behind? It is the nationalistic idea that we have to think about country's growth, bring out. So this happened, and after during the colonial era, the Indian press was also subject to censorship and repression. अब प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पर स्टार्ट हो गई व्हाट दैट आप कुछ भी अगर सर्कुलेट कर रहे हैं, यू आर पब्लिशिंग समथिंग, सो व्हाट हैपेंस sometimes that people don't like it and you are doing something, so censorship came in. Means you do have a right of speech and expression, but that speech and expression cannot be something going not in favor of what you are publishing. Means it is also subject to some kind of restrictions. That is why censorship was introduced. क्यों आप अगर आज भी इंडस्ट्रियल फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में या कहीं भी कुछ पब्लिकेशन होता है, आप सेंसरशिप की क्यों बात करते हैं? क्योंकि इट इज समथिंग जिसका रॉन्ग इम्पैक्ट ना हो ऑडियंस पे. दैट इज वाई. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो इंटरेस्टिंग. सो हेयर, despite the Indian journalists and publication persisted in their efforts to inform and inspire the masses. So this is the time when we can say कि journalism का growth हुआ, and there was certain kind of influence we can see, and that persisted. यहाँ तक clear है? So that I can tell you further. अभी क्या है, प्रिंट को समझ लीजिए. प्रिंट को समझने के बाद ऑटोमेटिकली आपको लगेगा कि ऐसा क्या हुआ. उसके बाद आया डिजिटल रेवोल्यूशन. टुडे अगर हम प्रिंट मीडिया को भी यूटिलाइज कर रहे हैं, तो वी आर यूटिलाइजिंग नॉट ओनली in form of newspapers. We have 20th century, earliest 21st century changed the print media landscape. अगर मैं हिस्टोरिकल लैंडमार्क्स जाके चेकआउट करूं, जो कि मैंने अभी आपको यहाँ नहीं दिखाए सारे, इट्स अ लॉन्ग लिस्ट कि कौन से ईयर में 21 गैजेट से लेके टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया के बीच में बहुत सारे न्यूज़पेपर हैं बेटा. सो आई कैन गिव यू नोट्स ऑन दैट इफ देर आर इन विच ईयर 1800s में कौन सा आया, 1850 में कौन सा आया, 1860. सो देवर proliferating, you understand? एंड उनका नंबर इतना इंक्रीज हो चुका था बाय 20th and 21st सेंचुरी कि अब हम डिजिटल मीडिया की ओर बढ़ चुके थे. एंड एट दैट टाइम we started using digital format of the newspaper, which is like www.timesofindia.com or any other hindu.com or hindustan.com. So you have to see, by this time online news websites and digital editions of newspapers and magazines allowed global distribution, and these were the ease of internet publications. Questions regarding the quality and accuracy of the information, means जो भी आप information दे रहे हैं उसका एक digital format आ गया. By now people were not concerned कि हमें हमारे घर में न्यूज़पेपर आए. ऑनलाइन भी उनको इंफॉर्मेशन मिलने लगे, जैसे कि आज in today's times. Till date, if you are not getting newspaper, what you will do, you will go and check out news on the website. This was previously not available. Now, see, Indian print media in the digital age, today it's the digital age. यही मैं आपको समझा रही हूँ कि questions जो हैं वो सिर्फ हिस्ट्री पे नहीं आने वाले ना, लैंडमार्क्स पे इतने ज़्यादा नहीं आएंगे. बेसिक आ सकते हैं, लेकिन उसके अलावा डिजिटाइजेशन ऑफ प्रिंट मीडिया भी आपको समझना चाहिए, बिकॉज उसका जो कॉन्टेक्स्ट है वो ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट करेगा यूजीसी नेट पे. बिकॉज this is the future, na? This is what we are, utilizing print media. So means introduction of offset printing, the computerization, editing, satellite technology, and that was reflective on the effectiveness of print media in India. Means no more anybody is interested कि घर में न्यूज़पेपर आपको in a hard format आए, hard copy format में आए. You can get a soft copy of the newspaper, which was not earlier possible. तो ये change हुआ और वो अब change हुआ in the 21st century, and it is based on the digital format. उसमें print technology, print printing is different. उसके लिए आप layout करते हैं on the other formats which are available on the website. Like, so the greatest dramatic development that occurred in 1990s with the introduction of the internet. This is all because of internet. ना आज internet है तो आप न्यूज़पेपर को इतनी उससे इंटेलिजेंटली यूज कर रहे हैं. अदरवाइज तो वही फॉर्मेट था और वो आज भी है. You cannot forget that format. It is still existing, but the impact is getting reduced. You have to understand this. The future is not hard copy of the newspaper. Future would be the digitized format of the newspaper. Now you understand. Now you must be getting clear. So there is a global readership reach which was created in 1997, followed by other. So Times of India ने 1997 में कर लिया तो इसका मतलब बाकी न्यूज़पेपर पीछे नहीं रहे होंगे ना. वही 1998 2000 तक सबने अपने आप को डिजिटाइज कर लिया होगा. Because Times of India being the oldest, I told you, which came into the formation and it was recognized as a major newspaper. So उसके बाद क्या हो रहा है कि gradually हर न्यूज़पेपर अपने आप को डिजिटल फॉर्म में ही देखना चाहता है. दे डोंट वांट टू कि ये वाला फॉर्मेट अच्छा है. वो नाउ दे अंडरस्टैंड कि हमें डिजिटल फॉर्म, डिजिटाइज्ड फॉर्म ऑफ न्यूज़ मीडिया को मार्केट में लाना है. सर्कुलेशन ऑफ the newspaper would be not that much appreciable unless and until उसका digitized format audience को नहीं मिल रहा. So both is now important. Like then obviously मैंने आपको बोला है कि electronic media का emergence है. There is the term which is related to electronic media, and that you all understand is the broadcasting. What is broadcasting? Broadcasting is something by which you can reach out to the audience. Okay, what is broadcasting? Broadcasting, you can see here that it is not an old occurrence but a new one, which is the first radio waves were transmitted in December 1906. ट्रांसमिशन ऑफ द वेव्स. ब्रॉडकास्टिंग में क्या होता है? सिंपल है. अगर मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ किसी चीज की ब्रॉडकास्टिंग हो रही है तो ट्रांसमिशन ऑफ वेव्स, दैट इज रिलेटेड टू रेडियो, दैट इज रिलेटेड टू टेलीविजन, जहां पर ऑडियो विजुअल दोनों रहता है. जब हम टेलीविजन की बात करते हैं इट इज मोर ऑफ audio visual. So you can see that in India it actually began 13 years before All India Radio came into existence. In June 1923, the Radio Club of Bombay made the first ever broadcast. तो सबसे पहले कब हुआ था बेटा? It was in 1923. तो ये चीजें जो डेट्स हैं, ये लैंडमार्क्स हैं, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. राइट, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दे आर नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, लेकिन आप सभी लैंडमार्क्स अगर याद करेंगे दैट वुड बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट बिकॉज एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू some of the landmarks are very major, and so you should be knowing them by reading the theoretical part or what you have been listening and you know. लेकिन उसके बाद क्या है कि इतने सारे रेडियो क्लब्स आए and broadcast in the country, and that was followed by setting up of the Calcutta Radio Club. एंड ग्रेजुअली कैलकटा में आ गया, उसके बाद ग्रेजुअली अदर मैसूर में गया, साउथ में भी फैल गया, उसके बाद कमिंग टू नॉर्दर्न पार्ट. सो ग्रेजुअली वो जो रेडियो का था प्रोलिफरेशन कुड बी सीन ऑन द मैप ऑफ इंडिया थ्रू ट्रांसमिशन. इट वॉज नॉट ओनली कि आप सोच रहे हैं कि रेडियो वॉज पॉसिबल like newspaper. No, here we needed a radio setup, transmission of the waves, that was quite different. So I think अभी आपको थोड़ा सा समझ आ रहा होगा कि इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया भी इंडिया में it was started transmitting in 1923 when radio club was set up. Now, further moving on, like you have to understand that communication is only possible, radio waves are only possible, and meaning of the word broadcasting, as I told you, is the distribution of the audio and video content to the dispersed audience via broadcast radio, broadcast television, or other technologies. Receiving parties may include the general public or a relatively large subset. Means पर्पस क्या है ब्रॉडकास्टिंग का पर्पस है दैट यू आर क्रिएटिंग ऑडियो एंड वीडियो कंटेंट to be dispersed to the audience, and this content is dispersed to the audience via all these available sources. Content अगर सिर्फ एक ही फॉर्मेट में रह जाएगा then it is not useful. It is going on to the audience and it is making impact in both audiovisual and audio format, that is radio and television, right? So since broadcasting is a very powerful tool for mass publication of anything, and that power can also be abused too, it must be kept in check. सेम चीज है बेटा, इफ इट इज मिसयूज्ड दैट मीन्स मैंने आपको बोला जिस तरीके से न्यूज़पेपर के लिए देयर इज अ सेंसरशिप, देयर इज आल्सो ब्रॉडकास्ट रेगुलेटरी कमीशन. Why? Because telecommunication, TRAI and other commissions which are working towards broadcasting regulation is that if you're giving information and you're broadcasting the something on airwaves or in the audio visual medium, उसका जो implication है वो कहीं ना कहीं गलत हो जाएगा. तो हमको ये सोचना चाहिए कि हम किस तरीके से कंटेंट बना रहे हैं और वो कंटेंट जब सर्कुलेट हो रहा है उसका क्या implication हो रहा है, is it in good faith or bad faith. So that will always remain, means you cannot forget that ना कि पर्पस क्या है. पर्पस है टू सर्कुलेट न्यूज एंड न्यूज विच इज बेनिफिशियल फॉर द ऑडियंस. और अगर वो पर्पस कहीं ना कहीं नहीं रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहा देन अगेन इट्स अ alarming situation, which it has happened in India many times. Now I'm just telling you the pre-independence phase, means after independence जो हमारी मीडिया की situation है वो completely different scenario है. Today every channel has their own way of communicating, reaching out, and उनके खुद के कुछ good points हैं, कुछ negative points हैं, so we relate to that. But pre-independence also there was the Telegraph Act came in 1885. तो ये भी एक important point है. After which the telecommunications started growing and that was making impact. So 1885 में Telegraph Act आया, which was the first piece of legislation of significance for government control over the installation. Means अगर आप कुछ install कर रहे हैं, आपने सोचा कि एक particular चैनल है वो सेटअप होना चाहिए इन कैलकाटा और मुंबई. सो यू आर जस्ट चेकिंग आउट कि उसका क्या इम्प्लीकेशन होने वाला है उस एरिया में, एंड इक्विपमेंट वाज ग्रांटेड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट and it has sole right to establish, maintain and operate the telegraphs, and and that was the Wireless Telegraphy Act in 1993, which was passed in 1933 to address the situation of radio receivers and wireless operators who were not covered by the Telegraphic Act 1885. तो 1885 में आया, उसके बाद वायरलेस टेलीग्राफी एक्ट आया जिसकी वजह से रेडियो प्रोलिफरेट होना शुरू हो गया विद इन द कंट्री. So by 1933 there were number of radio stations were could be seen under the Wireless Telegraphy Act, and they were able to establish themselves in various areas within the country. Now on the basis of this, what came in? Radio establishments. You have to understand that ना कि इतना कुछ हो जाने के बाद 1933 के बाद क्या हुआ कि वी कुड रिलेट टू द टेलीविजन और वी कुड रिलेट टू द रेडियो. अभी टेलीविजन तो नहीं आया है, अभी हम रेडियो पे ही हैं, लेकिन इसके बाद टेलीविजन नहीं आना है, right? Audio का we were started utilizing audio, and we were reaching out to the television by this time, right? तो यहाँ पर क्या है बेटा, radio was the only form of broadcasting at the first. Now the Indian Broadcasting Company was founded in the year 1927. 1927 तक क्या आ गया बेटा, IBC, Indian Broadcasting Company. And what was the purpose of the Indian Broadcasting Company? Means that it was launched the nation's first radio service, operating stations in Bombay, Calcutta and Lahore until going out of business in March 1930. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पर हम क्या देख रहे हैं कि there is a sort of company we can associate which is establishing and giving various radio stations, and that was identified as IBC. So आपको अगर कोई question आता है regarding IBC, तो it is 1930 onwards ना, जब establishment radio का all over India start हो चुका था, है ना. And it was on the base, and soon after the government of India assumed direct control over broadcasting. Means यहाँ पर गवर्नमेंट का डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल था कि अगर आप कुछ ब्रॉडकास्ट कर रहे हैं, इट वाज नॉट प्राइवेटाइज्ड एफएम, ये सब बाद में आए. ठीक है, वी आर नॉट इवन टॉकिंग अबाउट दोज थिंग्स राइट नाउ, बिकॉज वो तो बहुत 1990s ऑनवर्ड्स हुआ था जब प्राइवेटाइजेशन इन्फ्रिंज इनटू द रेडियो मीडियम, एंड नाउ यू हैव so much of FM which you can hear. So you can see that the service designated as the Indian State Broadcasting Service started transmitting. By 1932, the British Broadcasting Service started transmitting BBC. Okay, this shows that in the earlier days, the government had the monopoly over the broadcasting. So simply है यहाँ पर there was complete rule of the government. There was a monopoly, as I told you. Monopoly means government is looking into the rules and regulations and functionalities of the broadcast, and there is no kind of interference coming from the private sector right now. So there is a monopoly, and you were giving some programs on the airwaves to reach out to the audience for their benefit. The Indian government state broadcasting service was then renamed as All India Radio. Now ये एक important landmark है, or coming of the All India Radio, because till today we identify in 1936 that AIR was set up, and the following year it was moved from the Department of Labor to the Department of Communication. So Department of Communication भी उसी year में form हुआ. You can think, means these things were not there earlier. Communication Information Broadcasting Ministry कुछ ऐसा नहीं था. तो वो जब रेडियो का एस्टैब्लिशमेंट स्टार्ट हो गया 1930s में, and even the things were on rise, then it was by the IBC, it was recognized as all India Radio in 1936, and they were giving the programs on the name of AIR, and these were the Department of Information and Broadcasting was established in 1941, and after the country gains its independence in 19. That is how we see ourselves coming into the sphere of now independence. So आपके 1936 में जो ऑल इंडिया रेडियो था और जो 1947 के बाद था, there was a lot of difference in that. Now why? Because that was something which was not much influential, but after the independence, now you could have your own policies, press commissions आए, laws, press council of India आया, there were broadcasting laws which were made. So we completely changed. Now we completely started outshining, as I told you. It was not that we were dependent on those regulatory policies. Now post independence 1947 onwards, now you have to understand, after the independence and formation of constitution in 1950. A system for film censorship was put in place when the Cinematography Act came in 1952. Two distinct concerns were covered in it, that is evaluating and approving the movies which were suitable for exhibition, regulation of movie theaters including licensing. So Cinematographic Act was also coming up by 1952, which is again regulated to what you are circulating in form of the content, audio visual content जो भी बन रहा है. But again, this act was not having any implication on the television right now. So television was again needing that kind of regulatory authority, which came later, which was not in so earlier phase. Now you can see, now we are after the independence. Now we have to check out what all went into the growth of television, where we can see that television was identified and television was majorly being assessed. Now here you can see very much that television was grossly abused during the 1975 emergency period, and as a result there was a call for its autonomy after the emergency. 1975 में तो emergency period था, तो उसके बाद there were certain changes we can see. So politically, which was things were also influencing on the broadcasting. It was not that कि अगर आप कुछ कर रहे हैं तो उसी फॉर्म में चलता जा रहा है, उसका इम्पैक्ट कहाँ से हो रहा है, पॉलिटिकल थिंग्स विच वर हैव. तो 1975 के बाद, इमरजेंसी के बाद आप देख रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट इज प्लेड वाइट पेपर ऑन द इम्प्रॉपर यूज ऑफ मीडिया ड्यूरिंग द इमरजेंसी. मीन्स कुछ भी हो रहा है उसके लिए यू कैन स्टैंड अप एंड से कि मीडिया इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल ना. टुडे ऑल्सो when we look upon what television is circulating, we say that this is good, this is bad. तो वो चीजें अब politically खुल के सामने आने लग गई, which was not there earlier. And this was given before Parliament at the conclusion of the formation of a working committee to examine the autonomy of Akashvani and Doordarshan within the framework of the government. Now, यहाँ पर आप देखिए, to check the autonomy means something which is happening, are they doing correct or it is to be improved. तो यहाँ पर there was a cross check. Whatever is being circulated, we need to change that, how we can change that. So that came in. So this was India's first concentrated effort at the broadcasting reform. This was a major change कि अब हमें reform करना है, मीडिया को regulate करना है, and we have to understand whatever information is being circulated वो कितनी ही informational है. तो यहाँ पर आप देखिए, the working committee suggested that a trust should be established called Akash Bharati or National Broadcasting Trust. The bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha, which expired in 1979 by resolution in the Lok Sabha. Now अब यहाँ पर क्या हो गया बेटा, यहाँ पर हमने we are trying to identify कि क्या चीज़ें हमने डेवलप कर ली by this time कि हमारा जो circulation हो रहा है in form of news is going in favor of the country, means it should not give any sort of wrong news. तो यहाँ पर laws आने बनने शुरू हो गए. And what was very important law? That was the Prasar Bharati Act of 1990. What was that important? What was the important? 1990 में जो Prasar Bharati Act आया, which was on the basis of this resolution which was in 1979, and they were talking about Akash Bharati. ये जो Prasar Bharati Act आया बेटा, it was under the members 22 members committee which was formed, and it was from 15 members coming from the Lok Sabha, 7 from the Rajya Sabha, comprising a 22-member committee. And this committee was working on the the laws which would help in the upbringing of Prasar Bharati Act, which formed the Doordarshan later on. तो ये सब interrelated, like I told you ना, जो historical developments थी वो after independence majorly in form of acts नजर आई, means acts and committees which were formed at that time. एक कमेटी बैठती है तो उसके आगे क्या बनता है, उसका एक्ट बनता है. तो यहाँ पर जो कमेटी थी, they were working on the organize and operate public broadcasting service to inform, educate and entertain. By this time the purpose was to also educate, also inform and also entertain. Not only कि हम सोच रहे थे कि न्यूज़ न्यूज़ न्यूज़, वो जब तक प्रेस, जब तक हम प्रिंट मीडिया की बात कर रहे थे, तब तक वी वर मोर ऑफ थिंकिंग कि कैसे न्यूज़ जाएगा इन्फॉर्म, बिकॉज दैट कैन नॉट बी वेरी एंटरटेनिंग है, वो सिर्फ ऑडियो फॉर्मेट है. जब ऑडियो विजुअल हो जाएगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली एंटरटेनमेंट वाला फैक्टर बढ़ जाएगा ना. दिस यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड, इट विल इंक्रीज, इट विल नॉट डिक्रीज. सो ऑडियो विजुअल के आने के बाद ये चीज़ें बढ़ती गई. और about the autonomy of the broadcasting which was notified by the government in 1997, means broadcasting autonomy was a big issue in our country. Means why only government based channels were there by that time and television was not able to proliferate the way it should have been. तो इसके बाद आप देखेंगे there is a change. कैसे आया था change? You remember? Yes? ZTV, satellite channels. Now that we were not into the same phase, उसके बाद जो historical developments हुए वो completely different थे. अभी यहाँ पर जब मैं ZTV की बात कर रही हूँ, it's a private network. It's not owned by government of India. Means it's owned by SL Group. It's a private owner. So ZTV, a Hindi satellite station that became a rival to Doordarshan. मीन्स कंप्लीट कंपटीशन हो गया उस टाइम पे कि आप जो दिखा रहे थे उससे मच बेटर कंटेंट आपको मिलने लग गया दूसरे चैनल्स पे, विच स्टार्टेड विद द इनिशियल कमिंग ऑफ द जी सैटेलाइट चैनल. एंड दिस was one of the many new satellite based TV providers. अभी क्या है कि इसके बाद फिर बड़े सारे आपके सैटेलाइट बेस्ड टीवी प्रोवाइडर्स आने लग गए. उनको पता चल गया कि इट्स इट इज समथिंग वी वर वेटिंग फॉर एक्चुअली, कि अच्छे से न्यूज़ मीडिया रिफ्लेक्ट हो. तो दिस इज हाउ we can say the Metro channel, the government's first entertainment channel, was launched in response to the competition. Were up to 12 satellite based channel available in India by the end of 1995. Means end of 1995 चीज़ें कंप्लीटली बदल गई. अब क्या हो रहा था कि गवर्नमेंट वाज आल्सो गिविंग यू मेट्रो चैनल, और चैनल्स बढ़ गए. उन्होंने भी रीजनल चैनल्स के बारे में सोचा, या उन्होंने न्यूज़ को एंटरटेनमेंट से सेपरेट किया. चीज़ें काफ़ी अलग तरीके से रिफ्लेक्ट होने शुरू हो गए. अब आया मेजर बूस्ट जिसको कहते हैं कि ब्रॉडकास्टिंग इंडस्ट्री में. इट वाज नॉट दैट बोरिंग नाउ. एवरीबडी वॉच दूरदर्शन ऑल्सो. तो उनको लगा कि देयर वाज वैरायटी. इट वाज नॉट कि हमें सुबह उठ के वो रेगुलर जैसे फॉर्मेट था उससे काफ़ी आगे निकलना शुरू हो गए. सो नाउ this is by 1995. So because the government had monopolized the right to uplink from within the country of its own broadcasting organization, all of the services were uplinked from outside of India. The increase of private channel amounted to less than a revolution. In addition to the providing options for entertainment services, expansion of private channels opened lot of job opportunities. So that was the second outcome कि एक तो पहले न्यूज़ से हम कन्वर्ट हो गए towards private channels. That was seen after like Z satellite came in, and after that there was a proliferation, and also there was a boom in the this your media and mass communication industry in form of jobs opportunities, because now it was not only that there were few available options. You started having so many options where you can work and create content for the masses. So this is how that was a major breakthrough coming in the broadcasting industry 1995 onward. अब आया बेटा, अब इसके बाद आप जब एक न्यूज़ चैनल को नहीं दिखा रहे, आप एक एंटरटेनमेंट चैनल को नहीं दिखा रहे, आप there was more than 10-15 channels which were given to you by the केबल ऑपरेटर्स. याद है एक टर्म आया था उस टाइम पे, केबल टेलीविजन. आपके घर में केबल प्रोवाइडर्स आके एक वायर लगा के जाते थे विच वॉज इन फॉर्म ऑफ गेटिंग द केबल टेलीविजन नेटवर्क. एंड व्हाट वाज द यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ दैट नेटवर्क? That was under the Regulation Act of 1995, and it was passed by the Parliament, approved, and in 2003 the mandate of the CAS, that is again on the cable authorities by the cable subscribers in order to access premium channels. And they were also, they started working on the telecom policy and to revise the CAS and how we can give best of channels to the audience. So now, by now, you were having Z, Star, Sahara, you know these were all different channels, right? And Sony TV, so they were not that कि आपको एक ही news channel मिल रहा है. You were having so many options in your hand, and these were providing you a lot of news which you could get in the format news and entertainment both. Means news channel भी था Z का, तो entertainment भी था same with the Star. So वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कम नहीं हुआ, वो बढ़ा ही. उनकी सर्विस स्पोर्ट्स में भी चली गई, उनकी लाइफस्टाइल में भी चली गई. Similarly, so now by now you were not dependent on only one kind of entertainment. Means you were getting it in various. तुमको NDTV पसंद है, तुम्हारे फ्रेंड्स को Z पसंद है, किसी को आज तक पसंद है. So that way the things started shaping up. Now Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, which is ministerial level government organization in India, which is creating information and broadcasting the press and Indian cinema. अब यहाँ पर हम INB ministry की बात कर रहे हैं, which was not there earlier ना. ये INB ministry की बात होगी यहाँ पर, right? So 1995 onwards ये सब हुआ जब चैनल्स केबल टेलीविजन को हमने रिकॉग्नाइज किया और उनको रेगुलेट करने के लिए वी वर thinking कि INB ministry would look in that formation, which was not there earlier. And telecom regulatory authority in India, whose objective is to provide fair and transparent policy environment which promotes a level playing field and facilitates competition, fair competition. अब यहाँ पर फेयर कंपटीशन की बात आ गई, क्योंकि अब क्या होगा, कंपटीशन होगा तो lot of things will go कि हमारा channel better है, उनका better. So these kinds of fair competition was required. So that is why TRAI came in, and their objectives was to look into any acts. So the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India Act 1997, which was passed with effect from February 20th, 1997, was to look into the telecom services, means including fixing or revising the telecom service tariffs, and that was control of the central government. अब जो भी टैरिफ्स हैं देखिए किस फेवर में जा रहे हैं, कितना they were favor of the government, and how these private channels were they were taking enlarging themselves in various forms. So whatever control they could do to reduce any kind of unwanted competition, means fair competition. Fair competition was required, not that we are fighting on the issues of just that these channels were existing. These channels were existing for a purpose, and they should have they needed regulation. So now these things you can see, INB ministry, TRAI, something which could be very much visible. मूविंग ऑन फर्दर, अब इसके बाद क्या होना था? इसके बाद तो अब देयर वाज नो स्टॉपिंग. मीन्स अब कोई चैनल्स को इंक्रीज होने से रोक नहीं सकता था, क्योंकि वी हैड क्रॉस्ड दैट स्टेज नाउ that we could have started establishing ourselves in various forms, because cable services aa gaye the, and we were connected to the satellite channels, and these satellite channels providers which were private owners, would give themselves in a best form जो लोगों को चाहिए, क्योंकि they were more concerned about the TRPs ना, not like गवर्नमेंट चैनल्स. यहाँ पर अब TRP की बात है, टेलीविजन रेटिंग पॉइंट्स की बात आती थी, क्योंकि उनको अपने आप को मार्केट में सेल करना है. उनका चैनल चलेगा तो उनको ज़्यादा एडवर्टीजमेंट्स मिलेंगे. सो दैट वाज द कॉन्सेप्ट. नाउ टेलीकम्युनिकेशन डिस्प्यूट सेटलमेंट एंड अपीलमेंट ट्रिब्यूनल, ये TDSAT आ गया, and it was taking over the disputes which were happening under the TRAI Act, which was effective from January 2000. तो यहाँ पर क्या है कि you look into the TRAI as well as to settle disputes between licensee and the licensor. किसने लाइसेंस दिया, किसको लाइसेंस दिया, उसको चेकआउट करिए, कहीं गलत हो रहा है उसको कंट्रोल कीजिए. तो चीज़ें काफ़ी रिफ्लेक्ट होने लग गई थी बाय दिस टाइम. एंड सेंट्रल बोर्ड ऑफ फिल्म सर्टिफिकेशन विच वाज आल्सो known as सेंसर बोर्ड. So censor board started certifying feature films, trailers, documentaries, theater-based advertising, and appropriate public viewing through screening and rating. So they created a cinematography act. सेंसर बोर्ड आ गया, उसकी रेगुलेशन के लिए एक एक्ट आ गया, एंड दैट एक्ट वाज नोन एज सिनेमेटोग्राफी एक्ट इन 1952. सो मेनी एक्ट्स ना, एक प्रसार भारती एक्ट आ गया आपका, सिनेमेटोग्राफी एक्ट आ गया, TRAI आ गया, कैस आ गया. तो मैंने आपको बोला ना, लैंडमार्क्स बहुत सारे रहे, एंड दीज वर मेजरली once the channels were proliferating. It was not कि वो rate of increase of channels बढ़ गया. तो अब आपको समझ आ रहा है कि हम कितना ग्रोथ हो चुका था by this time, that we were trying to find out by 2000, that we were trying to find out best means in which we could reflect to the audience. ठीक है. तो इसके बाद there is a sort of lot of emergence of the channels, and we were visible to the audience in a broader form. अब we were not looking back, मैंने आपको पहले ही बता दिया था, अब तो ग्रोथ डिजिटल फॉर्मेट पे जाना था, like it happened in press also. अब वो जो चीज़ थी, अब जो ऑडियो विजुअल मीडियम से कहाँ गई बेटा, वो अब डिजिटल फॉर्मेट पे जाएगी, जहाँ पर चीज़ें और भी बढ़िया तरीके से आपको मिल रही हैं टिल डेट. मीन्स आप अपने यू आर व्यूइंग मी ऑन व्हाट, यूट्यूब, यू आर नॉट व्यूइंग मी ऑन अ टेलीविजन चैनल. सो दिस इज द रिफ्लेक्शन ना ऑफ व्हाट स्टार्टेड हैपनिंग एट दैट टाइम, दैट की there could be n numbers of means by which we can reach out to the audience, right? So in the contemporary times, television and cinemas are not only ways at disposal for broadcasting after the arrival of internet. Internet ने सब कुछ बदल दिया. That was completely not dependent on any television station. It was not dependent on any radio waves or transmitters, which were initially the means of communication, because you can reflect yourself in various forms through the internet by making digital packets which are available to you on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. So यहाँ पर आप देखिए, there was a content on the internet. There is no need any license. There is internet connection which you need, and an account and a platform, and so it becomes difficult for the government to regulate such content. Means there is emergence of so many things in the market, or on the basis of the liking of the public or utilization of the content becomes popular. अब गवर्नमेंट क्या रेगुलेट कर रही है? गवर्नमेंट तो ब्रॉडकास्टिंग मीडिया इज रेगुलेटिंग समथिंग विच इज इम्पैक्टिंग ऑन द नेशनल स्केल ना, थोड़ा ये भी डिफरेंस रहता है. तो नेशनल स्केल पे चैनल्स थे, रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज थी. यहाँ पर क्या हो गया, इंटरनेट ने पूरे कम्युनिकेशन, टेलीकम्युनिकेशन को चेंज कर दिया. और आज की डेट में अगर मैं यूट्यूब की बात करती हूँ, तो एक OTT सुना है आपने? OTT व्हाट इज दैट? ओवर द टॉप. मीन्स आपको कुछ भी जाके अगर ओवर द टॉप देखना है तो वो आपको OTT पे अवेलेबल है ऑन योर मोबाइल फोन्स, which you can upload and watch. So that is latest. The platforms are one of such new platforms which are not much regulated by the government. They cannot. गवर्नमेंट कितना रेगुलेट करेगी, इतना ज़्यादा मास इंक्रीज हो चुका है कंटेंट, एंड दैट कंटेंट इज टेकन बाय द ऑडियंस अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर यूटिलाइजेशन. कोई मार्केट में कोई चीज़ आती है तो वो इस तरीके से ना थोड़ी आती है कि वो वहाँ पर सस्टेन करेगी. वो इसलिए सस्टेन होती है क्योंकि वो ऑडियंस को चाहिए. अगर ऑडियंस को कुछ चाहिए तो वो उसे देखेंगे. तो यहाँ पर आप देखिए कि देयर वर समथिंग टू रेगुलेट दिस प्लेटफॉर्म इन 2021. जो आपका डिजिटल मीडिया का कंटेंट और एथिक्स कोड है वो 2021 में आया था, 3 years बैक ना. तो ताकि अगर कल को कुछ गलत कंटेंट जा रहा है तो उसको आप INB एक्ट के अंदर, दिस IT एक्ट which was introduced, you can regulate that also. So ऐसा नहीं है कि कंटेंट को you cannot regulate, but 2021 onwards जब चीज़ें इंक्रीज हो गई तब डिजिटल कंटेंट की रेगुलेशन की बात भी गवर्नमेंट को समझनी पड़ी और उन्होंने उसको इस तरीके से मार्केट में लॉन्च किया ताकि कोई भी प्लेटफॉर्म अगर कुछ गलत इन्फॉर्मेशन दे रहा है दे कैन ऑल्सो फॉल अपॉन prey to the what they are doing. So this is how we see that today OTT is something which is latest, and something more latest would be coming within a year or within 6 months, which could be of the advantage for the audience. तो अब आप देख लीजिए किस तरीके से हिस्टोरिकल ग्रोथ हुई और टुडे इन 2024 व्हाट इज द रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ द मीडिया, व्हाट इज द रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ द न्यूज़ which you are utilizing daily. So these are the major growths. I have not given you all the landmarks. I am telling you, उसके लिए आप परेशान मत होइए. वी कैन ऑलवेज गो थ्रू लाइक कि कौन सा न्यूज़पेपर कब आया, कौन सा टेलीविज़न कब आया, और इतना ज़्यादा करने की ज़रूरत भी नहीं है क्योंकि UGC नेट पूरा लैंडमार्क्स पे नहीं आने वाला. देयर इज सर्टन वेटेज गिवन टू हिस्ट्री एंड ग्रोथ ऑफ प्रिंट मीडिया विच इज़ पार्ट ऑफ Unit 1, and that is only comprising 12%. I have told you, it's not more than that. तो उतने में आप इतने ज़्यादा लैंडमार्क्स याद करके भी don't waste your time. Just go through the questions. That is what I'll be doing next. That is the PYQ, which I'll be starting after this. So you can see this first question. Just go through this question. What does it say? So here you can very much, this is very clear that DTH service was started in the year, you can see 2000, 2002, 2004, 2006. So इसका clear cut answer है बेटा, the DTH service was started in 2004, right? So you have to, just this is a very simple question. Na? Similarly, National Press Day is celebrated on 16th November, 19th November, 21st November, 30th November. तो ये सिंपल क्वेश्चंस है. मैंने कहा था ना हिस्ट्री में इतना आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो यहाँ पर सी आंसर इज ए. सो दिस इज सिंपल हैं, बल्कि जो लैंडमार्क्स पे क्वेश्चन हैं जो आप लास्ट ईयर के जो आपके लास्ट ईयर के क्वेश्चन पेपर्स हैं UGC नेट के, वो ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है. यू कैन ऑल्सो चेक एंड आई हैव टेकन आउट फ्यू क्वेश्चंस फॉर यू. दे आर नॉट, सी अगेन very simple. The total number of members in the Press Council of India are 28. सिंपल आंसर है, कोई इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड इसमें नहीं है. तो हिस्ट्री ऑफ डिजिटल मीडिया में यू वुड बी, अगर जो आपको ठीक से पता होगा तो आप उस चॉइस को मार्क कर दोगे. जबकि जो बाकी क्वेश्चंस थे जो मैं आपसे कल डिस्कस कर रही थी अबाउट कम्युनिकेशन मॉडल्स एंड थ्योरीज, वो थोड़े टफ हैं. बल्कि उसमें आपको यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द असर्शन, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द रीजन. वो सब इसमें नहीं आएगा, इसमें डायरेक्ट होगा. वो आपके लिए सिंप्लीफाइड है. See, question 4, use of radio for higher education is based on the presumption of enriching curriculum based instruction, replacing teacher in the long run, everybody having access to radio set, other means of instruction getting outdated. So simple है, everybody having access to a radio set. So यही है ना higher education का purpose further. यूज ऑफ रेडियो फॉर हायर एजुकेशन इज बेस्ड ऑन प्रिंसेप्शन कि एवरीबडी इज हैविंग रेडियो सेट, तो हम उस पे एजुकेशन भी देंगे rather than replacing or something like that. Everybody is having radio set and everybody can access to education through radio, so that could be the future. So this is how. कुछ बिल्कुल आप देखो सिंपल फंड है, कोई डिफिकल्ट नहीं है, इतने सिंपल क्वेश्चन तो ये तो सारे आपके आई थिंक करेक्ट ही होंगे. यू विल नेवर गेट -2 फॉर दैट. ऑल ऑफ यू विल गेट +2 विद सच सिंपल क्वेश्चन. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पेयर इज नॉट करेक्टली मैच्ड. तो इसमें चैनल का नाम है द पर्सन हु इज वर्किंग इन दैट चैनल. तो यहाँ पर आप देखिए बरखा दत्त हैज नेवर वर्कड विद जी न्यूज ना, शी इज associated with NDTV. So obviously this is incorrect. बाकी सब एन राम विद हिंदू, प्रणय रॉय NDTV 24/7, प्रभु चावला आज तक. सो दिस यू कैन मार्क, इसमें कुछ डिफिकल्ट नहीं है. सो क्वेश्चन 5 डन. क्वेश्चन 6 अगेन लाइक आई टोल्ड यू, हिस्ट्री में आप जब जाएंगे आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे तो बंगाल गैजेट एंड ऑल दैट आर मोर पॉपुलर. So H Bengal Gazette, the first newspaper in India, started in 1780, right? So who is associated with him? James Augustus Hickey. James Augustus Hickey started that ना. और कई बार इसका घूम के क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा कि विच ईयर, तो वहां पर 1780, 1781, 82 कुछ भी लिखो, तो यू शुड नो द ईयर दैट इज 1780. दिस इज क्लियर? ओके, सो दिस इज now. Press censorship in India was imposed during the tenure of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister emergency के टाइम आया था जब इंदिरा गांधी थी. तो इंदिरा गांधी is the correct answer for this, right? Indira Gandhi was when in the prime ministership there was in 1975. तो ये क्वेश्चन भी घुमा फिरा के आ जाएगा. कौन सी ईयर में प्रेस सेंसरशिप हुई थी, 1975 आ जाएगा इसकी जगह. तो यू शुड नो इंदिरा गांधी इमरजेंसी के टाइम में 1975 पे ये हुआ था, राइट? क्लियर? सिंपल, वेरी सिंपल. नाउ क्वेश्चन 8. An example of asynchronous medium is radio, television, film, newspaper. Asynchronous, yes, newspaper. That is the medium which is asynchronous medium. Means वहाँ पर feedback एकदम से थोड़ी ना होता है बेटा. बाकी सब में तो फिर भी there is lot of things by which, so it is a asynchronous medium as compared to the other medias which are there. Sender receiver का format उसमें थोड़ा सा distinct है, right? Question 8 understood, no difficulty. Now coming on to question 9. Now in this question, which one of the following telephonic conferencing with a radio link is very popular throughout the world? So अगेन यहाँ पर भी ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं है, सिंपली आपको पता है कि विच टेलीफोनिक कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग, सीधा आप टिक मार्क कर दो वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग. ज़्यादा और किसी में कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग है ही नहीं वर्ड, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग इज द करेक्ट आंसर. दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी सिंपल. एज यू नो दीज क्वेश्चंस आर इजी टू क्रैक. प्रिंट एंड इलेक्ट्रॉनिक की जो सारी आपकी हिस्ट्री है दैट इज वेरी सिंपल. The main objective of FM station in radio is, what is the objective? अगर आप एक FM station सेटअप करते हैं उसका क्या पर्पस है? So that is entertainment, information and interaction. Tourism थोड़ी ना कर रहे हैं बेटा हम. This is not correct. Neither we are doing, अभी तो interaction भी इतना ज़्यादा नहीं है. So this is ये आप देखेंगे यहाँ पर देखिए टूरिज्म बार बार इन्होंने रिपीट कर दिया और यहाँ पर है, तो ये तीनों इनकरेक्ट चॉइसेस हो गए. Only this choice is correct. So you can mark this very easily. Confuse नहीं होना ऐसे क्वेश्चन. कई बार आप ध्यान से नहीं पढ़ेंगे, आपने टर्म टूरिज्म नहीं पढ़ा, सी मार्क कर दिया, ये मत करिए आप, ठीक है? Try to grab +2 in these questions. These are very easy. In communication, chatting in internet is chatting in internet. अगर आप करते हो communication, वो किस form of that is not neither verbal non-verbal grapevine. ये थोड़ा नया टाइप का communication है which is parallel communication. तो ये थोड़ा सा you should know. अगर chatting आप कर रहे हैं तो आप क्या कर रहे हैं? You're doing one फटाफट होता है ना वो, cut. So that is parallel communication, right? Question 11, clear? Then the Kothari Commission report was entitled on. अब यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे कि कमीशन की जो रिपोर्ट आई थी वो किस पर्पस से आई थी. मैंने बोला ना बहुत सारे कमीशंस आए, कमेटीज आई. तो यहाँ पर देखिए एजुकेशन एंड नेशनल डेवलपमेंट, लर्निंग टू बी एडवेंचर, डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ एजुकेशन, एजुकेशन एंड सोशलाइजेशन इन डेमोक्रेसी. तो ये आंसर ए है, नेशनल डेवलपमेंट एंड एजुकेशन. सब बहुत ही स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड हैं क्वेश्चंस. पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म इज एसोसिएटेड विद टेलीविजन. आफ्टर टेलीविजन वी हैव कम इनटू द पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म. वो फेज पहले था, ये फेज आज का है, विच इज लाइक मॉडर्न. एवरीबडी इज टर्निंग आउट टू दैट काइंड ऑफ. ऑल इंडिया रेडियो फॉर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग वॉज नेम्ड इन द ईयर, ये मैंने अभी बताया था आपको, 1936. ये भी सिंपल है. 1936 में इट वाज प्री इंडिपेंडेंस. ऑल इंडिया रेडियो को नाम 1936 में मिल गया और हमें इंडिपेंडेंस कब मिली थी? 1947 में. मूविंग ऑन टू नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. In India, for broadcasting television programs, which system is followed? NTCS, PAL, NTSC, CCAM, SC, CAM. So this is PAL. Simple. So ऐसे क्वेश्चन अगर आप कर लोगे ना, I think you would be very confident about your preparation for going for the UGC NET. The term TRP is associated with TV shows stands for. Simple. TRP की full form everybody knows. You cannot, इसको अब ये गलत किसी को मत मार्क करना. ये वाला आपका है टोटल रेटिंग, सॉरी टेलीविजन रेटिंग पॉइंट्स. ये वाला नहीं है, टेलीविजन रेटिंग पॉइंट. इट इज अ फॉर्मेट विच इज फुल फॉर्म ऑफ टीआरपी. तो अब टोटल रेटिंग पॉइंट्स नहीं करना. टेलीविजन, इट इज रेटिंग गिवन टू द टेलीविजन मीडियम, राइट? ये हो गया, सिंपल है. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पेयर इज नॉट करेक्टली मैच्ड? ये अगेन आई थिंक ये वाला हमने डिस्कस किया था, ये भरका दत्त है. ठीक है, आई थिंक ये रिपीट हुआ है क्वेश्चन, इसको छोड़ दो. Question 18. The University Grants Commission was constituted on the recommendation of डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन. कमीशन के अंडर आई थी ये कमेटी विच इज नोन एज यूजीसी, विच इज फॉर्मिंग ऑल दी UGC based education and universities. So that is not any other Kothari and other Sargent and Woodlery commission. So this is okay. मैं ये आपको क्विकली इसलिए रिवाइज करा रही हूँ बेटा, ये आपको बहुत इजीली आप इसको आंसर कर लेंगे. वर्चुअल रियलिटी प्रोवाइड्स शार्प पिक्चर्स, इंडिविजुअल ऑडियो, पार्टिसिपेटरी एक्सपीरियंस, प्रीव्यू ऑफ न्यू फिल्म्स. सो इट प्रोवाइड्स पार्टिसिपेटरी एक्सपीरियंस. सो वर्चुअल रियलिटी, जब हम वर्चुअल रियलिटी में होते हैं वो रियल में नहीं होता, लेकिन हम पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं. जैसे कि हम गेम्स खेलते हैं या हम कोई व्यूइंग करते हैं इंटरनेट के थ्रू. मूविंग ऑन टू लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ द डे. साइट एक्सपेरिमेंट हुआ था एक हिस्ट्री ऑफ टेलीविजन में. तो आपको इसका फुल फॉर्म पता होना चाहिए. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये टेलीविजन से रिलेटेड है, मैंने आपको बता दिया. तो ऑटोमेटिकली जो भी टर्म कहीं भी आप देख रहे हैं टेलीविजन, वो सिर्फ बी ऑप्शन में, सैटेलाइट इंस्ट्रक्शनल टेलीविजन एक्सपेरिमेंट. बाकी सब इग्नोर कर देना. साउथ इंडियन ट्रेड एस्टेट, ये सब गलत हैं. तो ये आपको भी क्लियर हो गया. ओके स्टूडेंट्स, so I think after today's session you must have got insight कि हमारा क्या growth रहा रेडियो, टेलीविजन, print media, and what types of questions are there in the UGC NET. So moving on further, we will go insight into unit 1 and discuss further topics. See you tomorrow. Have a good day. Thank you.